Good morning. Cindy here in Leander, Texas, and I am so excited to announce that we are out of the triple digits. So we're going to be like 95-ish, and we are so excited. So I decided to run down to the Red Barn Nursery here in Leander. They have a wonderful selection of native plants for our areas. So today I wanted to talk to you about blooming shrubs that are going to be blooming at many times during the year so that you can have gorgeous color in your garden from early spring all the way to the first frost. Now, most all of these will die back in the wintertime, and so in the winter you'll have to have those evergreens. But for 9 months out of the year, these plants that we're going to talk about today are going to give you the most beautiful gardens. They are well adapted for our intense heat and our crazy freezes we've had, and they will make it. So you don't have to have a boring, drab garden just because we have this intense heat and this horrible drought. The plants I'm going to show you can take the heat, they can take watering. We would definitely have to water them some, but lots less water, and you can have a beautiful, colorful garden for 9 months out of the year. So let me show you what the possibilities are. So I wanted to start out by showing you some beautiful pictures. These are drive-by photos of homes in Texas where it is extremely hot, and here we are on the Hell Strip, and I'm sure they do give it some supplemental watering, but look at these beautiful, colorful gardens. You don't have to sacrifice color even though we have this extreme drought. Look at the beautiful things that people in Texas are growing. Foliage color can also play a big impact on your gardens. There's silver grays, dark greens. There are so many different colors of foliage that can make a big impact. Coneflower, sedum, rudbeckia are classics in beautiful Texas gardens. So the best place to go for information on the toughest, most reliable, and best looking plants made for Texas is to go to texassuperstars.com and look at their website for so many plants that I'm talking about today and many more. So the next beautiful plant I want to talk about, which we saw in some of the pictures I showed you earlier, is summer garden phlox. And there are two now on the Texas perennial list. There is the John Fennick, which is a lighter pink, and the Victoria, which is more of a magenta. And they get about 3 feet tall, and they can take the freeze. They bloom in the summer, and they can take our full sun. These are beautiful plants. You'll want to plant 3 or 5 of these phlox, maybe in the back part of the garden, and you may want to add some other plants that are whites or yellows, just depending on what your favorite color combinations are for your garden. Moving on, we're now going to talk about autumn sage or Salvia greggii. These are really great drought tolerant, beautiful plants. They get 2 to 3 feet tall, and what I see in most gardens around here is very woody, not very attractive plants. But I have found that if you will chop them back to 6 inches tall in February, you will be surprised that they will become more like a shrub and look fantastic. So it also comes in white and reds. So anytime your Salvia greggii isn't looking green and full and it's starting to look woody, chop it back in half and it will fill out again and look more like a beautiful shrub. And next we have the skullcap, which is very similar to the Salvia gregae, only it stays very low. It only gets 1 foot tall, and it can take the heat. If you can just mow it with your hedge trimmer if it ever starts getting woody, and it's something you would have at the very front of a garden bed. So if you're looking for orange or bright yellows in your garden, then the Zexminia might be what you need. This gets 2 to 3 feet tall. It loves the intense heat. It can take our sun and our drought and our freezes. Again, you wouldn't want to buy just one. You would want to buy them in groups of 3 or 5 and place them in front of something that's a little bit taller. And that gives your garden a more full, colorful look. So Fire Witch Dianthus is a perennial improved dianthus that will come back year after year. This only gets about 12 inches tall and will be a great third layer to place in front of some of the medium-sized and higher plants. So again, you would buy 3 or 5 pink ones and add them to the garden. So if you want to add some different texture and color in your foliage, this Powys Castle Artemisia is a great plant. It gets 2 to 3 feet tall. It does have some yellow flowers occasionally, but you plant this mostly for the interest in the foliage. You would put this in just an area where you want some really interesting texture to bounce off, say maybe a dark evergreen leaf. So something in the background is firebush. It is 4 to 5 feet tall and really can take all the heat. Looks great at the back of your garden. And then lantana, you all know about lantana. It comes in so many different colors: yellows, oranges, whites, pinks, and this can be kept low or it can get as high as 5 feet tall. It's up to you how you want to keep it pruned. So if you've been wanting to grow lavender and you haven't been able to, then this Walker's Low catnip or nepeta is a really great replacement for lavender. It stays about 2 to 3 feet tall. It has lavender flowers all year long, and it gives you that purple pop. It's a great addition to any garden. So we're going to get into the salvias next. This is the May Night. This is a shorter salvia, and it gives you purple indigo spires. It blooms its head off just all year long, and if it ever starts looking ragged, just chop it down and it'll give you some new blooms and greenery. So this is another salvia. This is the Henry Duelberg. It comes in purple and in white. It gets 2 to 3 feet tall. You need to put this in full sun to get the good flowers. And if it starts getting floppy, just chop it in half and it will replenish and get thick and strong again. And it gives you that purple flower. It blooms almost all year long. If you want a salvia that's 3 to 4 feet tall with the same deep blue purple flowers spring through fall, then the Indigo Spires salvia is my favorite. I have the Mystic Spires, and its purple flowers are just beautiful, and it is a bee and butterfly magnet. So I always have one of these in my garden. So a beautiful yellow flower and that silvery gray foliage is Jerusalem sage. It gets 2 to 3 feet tall. It has that soft leaf, very similar to lamb's ear, and the yellow flowers are swirly all the way down the stem. So I really have enjoyed the Jerusalem sage for that great yellow pop of color. So I didn't really mention many white flowers. So there's lots of different daisies. This Gara comes in white. The lantana comes in white. So if you go to the texassuperstars.com website, you'll find lots of white things to have in your garden. So white is a wonderful complement to most all of the colors that we talked about earlier. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that I have encouraged you to try some of these beautiful plants, and you too can have a fabulous, colorful garden. Bye-bye.